Welcome back to PPCM's Painful Truth. Today's guest, Christine Peacock.
Hi.
Hi.
So nice to see your face. Thank you so much for your time today and
Yeah, no, thank you.
educating me on your peripartum cardiomyopathy experience. It's very nice to meet you today.
Nice to meet you
I
too.
I I think that, you giving your time today is just so wonderful. So thank you.
Thank
Please
you.
introduce yourself and the state that you live in and when you were first diagnosed at what age with PPCM.
Sure. So my name is Christine Peacock and I live in Cape Coral, Florida. So it's Southwest Florida. I was diagnosed, theoretically went to the hospital on New Year's Eve, 2020. And after several tests, obviously, I was finally diagnosed officially in February of 2021.
Okay. And how old were you? You said,
Oh, I was 36 at the time.
okay. And when you were diagnosed, were you diagnosed during pregnancy or when your life was already at a threat?
It was after. So I gave birth to my son November 18th of 2020, and I went to the hospital that New Year's Eve. They had originally, looking back on it now, I think there were signs to tell us that I was having issues. But of course, no one thought about it. I had arrhythmias already, but my PVCs or my preventricular contractions at that time were at 60%, and no one caught it. I had really high blood pressure when I was 37 weeks. I had great blood pressure up until 37 weeks. It skyrocketed, and then I had an emergency C-section. And throughout my C-section, they had trouble regulating my blood pressure, and I was in and out. And those were, again, kind of telltale signs that no one ever thought maybe this is an indicator for, PPCM.
Right. And so it's also because in the United States of America, we do not have any diagnosis kit or instrument to
Right.
diagnose us.
Right.
In the field of gynecology, we have it in cardiology, but we're having a baby. So
Yeah.
the
Yes.
the diagnosis needs to be provided for the OB to diagnose for this to actually be treated by the actual specialist that now
Right.
has to take on the new mom that is suffering, throughout her pregnancy to her pronounced until, hindsight is 2020
Right.
with this disease. And who was it that actually they diagnose you? What was the who was it? The ER? Was it what hospital? Was it your
Sure.
OB? Was it a radiologist? Who was the actual hero in your life?
My hero was my niece. What happened originally was I spent about a week not being able to breathe every time I laid down, and I didn't understand that this was an emergency. I just thought, okay, this is a part of, you know, after birth. I was very swollen. I hadn't lost any weight from giving birth. I could tell I was retaining a lot of fluid. And honestly, it was the end of 2020. I thought, okay, this could possibly be COVID. I
Right.
didn't think anything of it. Um, and I spent a whole week crying because I could not sleep. Every time I laid down, I couldn't breathe. And I FaceTimed my niece, who is currently in her residency as a OBGYN. And at that
Wonderful.
time, she had just finished med school and had just entered her first year of residency.
Hmm.
And I called her and I said, I think something's wrong. And she was looking at me, obviously, in FaceTime. And she said, I've read about this. I think you have cardiomyopathy. I think you need to go to the emergency room. And so I told my husband and my newborn baby, I said, I got to go, because with COVID, no one was allowed to go with me. And I took myself to the hospital. I was within the 2-month window of giving birth. So I actually went to the OB triage center first, thinking,
How
Go ahead. Sorry.
How long after this were you driving yourself with
Yeah.
and leaving your baby
He
to go to
was
Christmas?
a month and a week, a month and a week old. So it
And
was,
I had a
you know,
C-section too, so I know what the recovery is like, and you had to drive yourself
yes. And I did.
because of
I drove
COVID.
myself. Yes.
Okay.
Because I mean, it was 10 o'clock at night. It was New Year's
Mm-hmm.
Eve. I didn't want to bother anybody. I honestly didn't think it was that big of a deal. When my niece said cardiomyopathy, it didn't register because it wasn't something that was in any of the books that you read, right?
Right.
It wasn't in the
Absolutely.
what to
It's not
expect when you're
educated or
expecting.
trained, obviously, or this we would
No,
be having a different conversation.
right. So I drove myself to the OB triage. The triage nurses didn't know what to do with me because my blood
Hmm.
pressure was sky high.
Hmm.
I had terrible arrhythmia. And
Hmm.
so they said, we need to transfer you to the ER. And I spent a few hours in the ER and they didn't know what to do with me. And then they sent me back to, it was a mess. I went back to OB triage. Um, Eventually, an amazing cardiologist came and saw me while I was in the OB wing. And she's still my cardiologist today. And she said, I think this is peripartum or postpartum cardiomyopathy.
Right.
And I didn't know anything about it. She said, it's, a rare condition. She goes, but I really think this is what it is. And so she transferred me back to the cardiac wing, and I stayed there for a week and a half, getting tests done to confirm that it wasn't anything else at that time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So an actual cardiologist was the one that diagnosed you, not your
Yes.
OB and not your
Correct.
gynecology department.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And, this is really common in the United States of America. Whereas, I mean, I've interviewed now a few women to compare through this docuseries that,
Yeah.
in Canada, they are diagnosed during pregnancy through
It's
their
crazy.
OB, where their OB gynecology can communicate with cardiology and have, quick care. They also do not have um, healthcare finances, hospital, anything relatable with healthcare is completely covered. In America, we pay a lot of money for monthly
Yeah.
insurance. We pay, all of that. So there is it's a shame. What are your bills like?
So I was actually very fortunate. For me, I have all of this covered completely under
Great.
insurance.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I found out I was pregnant, I didn't have healthcare before, or not healthcare, but I didn't have insurance before.
Insurance before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm self-employed. My husband and I own our own company, and it just wasn't a priority. I was, in my early 30s. I'm healthy. Other than this, I'm relatively healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't feel the need to pay monthly, like you said, high rates in a month in insurance. I took a gamble, and if I needed to see the doctor, I paid cash. When I became pregnant, I said to myself, okay, well, pregnancy can be expensive, birth can be expensive. So I got insurance, and I thank God I did, because this has been a whirlwind of treatments and hospitalizations and procedures. And at this point, I'm sure it would have cost me quite a bit if I had not had it.
And if you were to guess quite a bit, approximately, if you, let's say, were a woman that did not get insurance, and things come in the mail and they say, okay, this is not a bill, we're covered, this is not a bill, what
Yeah.
approximately would have costed you as a woman? Just
Oh my gosh. Not including birth. So just the cardiomyopathy. The week and a half long stay, the first time, I did see the bill, and that was over $20,000 with all the testing that had to be done. Um, I had a cardiac ablation in February, and that I think itself was about 6,000. So I'd estimate, and then I had another hospital stay in September. So I'd probably estimate somewhere between 50 to
50,000,
70,000.
50 to
Yeah.
70,000. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
what are you hearing from other women? Same?
Well, no, well, for me and my experience, I was blessed like you. Although I'm a Teamster, I'm a location manager for motion
Yeah.
picture pension and industry, so I have pension and health plan. I've been working on TV shows and movies for over 18 years, so I had excellent coverage, but it added to approximately over $288,000. I didn't pay any of it. That's not even including, after I had cardiac arrest death. I was in a
Oh my gosh.
hyperthermia coma. I, was in the hospital for a very, very, long time, before I even woke up. So,
That's
from
crazy.
that hospital that actually saved my life, which was Banner Estero in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank goodness I wasn't in Beverly Hills, California, or I would not be here today. I would be dead. Like the woman
Yeah.
who died on November 21st, 2021 at the
Yeah.
hospital, because there's no awareness and there's no practice and policy with that. So
Nope.
women, approximately, I did speak to a woman, another PPCM survivor. Her son is 8 years old and she just got out of debt like last week. Just from being diagnosed with peripartum cardiomyopathy, PPCM. So I'm sure that
Yeah.
it was over $100,000, but it's a lot. It's a lot of
Yeah.
money to have to pay, and you spend almost a decade, women trying to pay out, healthcare. And,
Yeah.
it would really be an American dream and a blessing if we could, take a page from Canada, you know, um, and different parts of the countries that do have specific diagnosis in gynecology to be able
Yeah.
to be treated with early diagnosis.
Specifically, since our follow-up after birth is with our gynecologist.
That's right.
Had
Yes.
you see them, it's the first physician you see after birth. And they had some type of guidelines to review this policy. I mean, they knew I had edema. It was noted in my charts, and it was never an issue for them. They just said, okay, well, make sure you're not laying flat on your back and make sure you're moving around more and exercising. And that was the extent of the care routine that they had for me with all the swelling that I had.
Yeah, my swelling, my care routine was they provided me a nutritionist that had me inflict pain every single day to prick myself, for my nutritionist to say, "You're perfect. Your numbers are perfect. You're healthy. You're good." But I kept swelling and swelling and swelling. I went from 105 to over 200 pounds. They didn't think anything was wrong with that. So I have a photo. It was like one of the first blogs, and I'm embarrassed that it's posted up, and I'm not going to take it down because it was in 2016. But there was
Yeah.
a photo that my sister actually photographed of me, and I had ice. I'll message you and I'll show you. I'll private
Yeah.
message you. They called it the silent killer, and they had me with my baby on me, and I had ice packs on my ankles, on my arms, on my chest. And because my doctor, my OB said, "Oh, put ice on your swelling." Well, it's the wrong kind of swelling. I could sit
Yeah.
in an ice bath and I'd still swell up because it's fluid inside of me. So now
Yeah.
I think back to when she said that to me, and then here I spend over like $200 on ice packs, freezing my poor little body, which probably in essence that preserves your body. So maybe it was good
Maybe it helped you.
advice. It
Yeah.
was good advice to keep me alive longer, I think, by freezing the infection. But she because I was in that hyperthermia coma. But man, the lack of like intuition mixed with common sense with
Understanding anything. Yeah.
medical practice and policy is like,
Oh yeah.
so yeah, equals women suffering and possible, life, death, or their baby dying, or both.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like too, had the emergency room known a little bit more about this condition as well, I wouldn't have been bounced back and forth. I spent almost 24 hours being bounced between cardio triage to OB triage because
Yes.
neither department knew what to do with me.
Anything. Exactly. It was like
Yeah.
the same with me. And I said to them, "Listen, at this point, I've been here for almost 8 hours and you have yet to give me an ultrasound.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me an EKG, give me an ultrasound." And it was when I went to the hospital the first time, I was surrounded by pregnant women in the triage. the actual main triage that was taking my information down, this was when I actually had the deadly defibrillator in, because they didn't patch test me. I had it removed. But when I went there and I'm educating, not one pregnant woman hospital triage had ever heard of this. And they're like, they were asking me what to do. And I said, that's okay. I know what to do. I'm a survivor. These are the things that I need to be done. This is what you need to do for me. And they did, and they listened at that moment, because they didn't have any idea. And the woman, I remember the woman, I have a picture of that too. I'll show you. She was pregnant as she's giving me the thing, and she was shaking because she had never heard of this disease. Meanwhile, she's like 7-8 months pregnant herself, and she's got the symptoms. So she's like caring for me. Meanwhile, she's pregnant and and she's working at the hospital, and she's shaking like a leaf. And I took a video of that too. And I document everything. It's interesting that I would come up with a docu-series, because I do. I mean, these are, this is our reality, is that we're educating the medical community, which is why we are talking about this, and why these conversations, even you and I, putting the pieces together of peripartum cardiomyopathy puzzle that's actually global, together, women all over the world. And I appreciate the women from Canada coming through, from Scotland, from Australia, from Philippines. I mean, all of them are coming through and talking about this. And the one thing that I've noticed about with America is that there really is a correlation with us. The same words that come out when I ask specific questions, I mean, we're all saying the same thing, which means that there is a need. And it's global, but the women in the United States of America have the biggest challenge because of our healthcare, lack of education, the unwillingness to learn, people making a mockery out of the disease, like this U.S. I'll even show you right now. Hold on one second. I have
it took me 5 months to get my electrophysiologist to finally agree that this was PPCM.
Like, you have to convince them.
Yes. And I mean, he's a specialist, right? So it was very frustrating. I've only been dealing with this for a little over a year now. And I can't imagine the women that have, just like you said, there are some women who live with this for, over a decade. And I just don't know. I couldn't imagine, with the technological advances today, with the internet and everything, all this information being so accessible to us at our fingertips, and seeing what that was like 2 decades ago. What was that like for them? What was that like? Some of these women on, our support page on Facebook, some of them have been dealing with this for almost 30 years.
27 years, 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was that diagnosis like? What did they have to fight for back then? And we're still here decades later fighting for this exact same needs in our healthcare system.
And the standards, the level of care and wellness for our women. And it's a joke. That's what it's a mockery. And this was a perfect example. This is from, I've been doing press, a lot of press actually. And, what was her name? I'm going to actually even say her name. Her name is Kimberlit James. And she is with Super Articles and hold on one second. This is with the U.S. Times. What they did is they changed a beautiful image into something that was, a bloody, because she said that mortality is bloody. I said PPCM is not bloody; it's heart suffocation.
It is.
We're suffocating, and I was saying, can you please kindly, remove the original image, because you're making it like a mockery. This is the image. Let me see if I can.
I
The
see it.
painful truth. Let me see if I can. Hold on one second. This is
There
the
you go.
image that should be there, right? And so
Yeah.
I was telling her that, a lot of people are not taking this disease seriously. It's not taking women seriously. There needs to be respect. It's not about money. It's not about views. It's about respect. This is the image that they posted, and then she lied about it. Hold on one second. This was the image and the article. Wait till you see this.
Why is it like that? It's like a 1930s horror movie.
Exactly. This is from the U.S. the U.S. Times. Okay, so get this. So her words exactly. When I told her, I said, "Okay, listen. I understand. You went out of your way to create this vampire horror flick
Right.
mockery out of a woman's global disease where gynecology has zero diagnosis, so women are dying, and you are making this as a mockery." And I've been working top TV shows for over 18 years, working on, like top shows.
Right.
Like, I don't care about the views. I care about the respect. And this is where it starts, even in the media. And she says to me this morning, which,
I can't even imagine.
wait, I have to, I'm saying this because this is like real talk. This is like real talk here. I have to say
And
this.
this is a woman too, by the way. This isn't even, this is a woman. That's the worst part.
Exactly. She says to me, hold on. "Hi, Lindsay. After talking to Kyle and the team, we won't be changing the graphic. The article have gotten over 2 million views and a lot of traction from the community. We have amazing feedback about the graphic. Lots of women who have reached out to us about your YouTube so they can follow the documentary. Your fears are not valid. Therefore, I will not change the image." Now that it had gotten enough traffic, it would have been we have changed it, but that's not the case. Someone in your field should appreciate that. My response was, "Kim, fears valid have nothing to do with respect for all women, Kim. I do not have fears about this. However, many are disrespected by this visual. It looks like a horror flick.
Movie. Yeah.
When I get you're ignorant to the disease as well as uneducated and making justifications. You are not just only insulting women, but women in the United States." Okay. Basically, this disease is not bloody. It's heart suffocation. And how
Plus,
women in authority in America, how women in authority in America can turn this disease into a mockery is appalling. And then I said, real talk. It's only a matter of time since it's common in the U.S., since we have no diagnosis in gynecology, that, if this happened to you or your children, I bet you would have a different feeling. So basically, I called her out as a liar, that she has completely lied to me. I mean, I went on and expressed how she lied to me about the media and the 2 million views, which is literally impossible. So I called her out as a liar. And then my publicist responded and said, and this is like, again, hold on 1 second. It's just too good to not say anything right now.
The hard part too is she's making a mockery of it because she's saying, well, this is, I mean, it is, right? It's a horrific event that we unfortunately have gone through in our lives, but it's more than that to us. And that's the part that is sad, that she doesn't understand that it's not just this big, scary clickbait that we're trying to do. It's truly about the education of the public and the medical community about this condition so we can save we can save lives, you know,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
it's almost like a
And
slap in the face to you and to
and
me.
my publicist has confirmed with a visual that the article only had 200 views, and that she was in fact lying. So not only did she make a mockery of it, but she also lied about the views because it's all visually right here. And so it's a real shame. And that's a woman that has the authority that can make a difference. And she actually, she's the choice of words is saying, my fear is not valid. Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be dedicating my life to this nonprofit now and rerouted my entire career to make this a point. And I told her, it's not I don't care about money. I don't care about the money, and I don't care about the views. I care about the respect for
Yes.
women.
Agree. Yeah.
And so the fact that she even lied about it, and then she
Wow.
posted it and disrespected me to the point where I just couldn't even believe I couldn't even believe the type of response. I mean, it was just, I can't even find the response
Well,
that Rose had. But anyway,
at the end of the day, we have to
this is what
find
we're
advocates.
this is what we're dealing with on a broader scale. This is like so our fight is to be heard with raising the standards, lab screening, and testings, and that this is not a bloody disease. This is a fluid heart suffocating disease, and women are suffocating. I suffocated. I had my times of death called. Healthy girl. I still had death knocking on my door. And it wasn't just cardiac arrest. It was cardiac arrest, death. And so for this woman to say that fear is not valid, it's appalling that she is a woman. I could understand if it came from Kyle at US Times, but this came from Kimberly.
Well, it's not even that, right? It's worse because this disease, now I'm going to cry, but this disease is it's fearful every day because you don't know what's going to happen. I just had a conversation with my husband that, again, I've only been living this for a year, but it's literally every 3 months is a cycle of highs and lows because every 3 months I get an echocardiogram and you don't know what it's going to be like. You don't know, am I going to be here tomorrow? And I look at my 1-year-old son and I think to myself, I'm fearful that one day I won't be here for him. Right. So to say that your fears are invalid I'm incredulous to the fact that any woman would say that to anybody that's dealing or has been dealing with what we have. You know what I mean?
Kimberly James, and her email is like, I can even tell you, it's like, and you can even email her yourself or anybody who's watching this. It's
sorry, I didn't mean to cry. Told myself I wouldn't cry.
I listen, I interview about 4 to 6 a day, and I cry. I hold it together, but when I shut down, when I push the end button, especially yesterday, with a husband that came through, and and we were talking because she died, and the camera went off and I just had my moment. I literally cried where I was cry. It wasn't tears holding back. It wasn't me holding back. I literally had I felt so bad because, we suffered at the same time in 2026 in November, and I had my times of death called and lived, and she died. And here I'm talking to her husband, and I shouldn't feel guilty, because I lived, but at the same time, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to hear, and these conversations are the painful truth, and it's okay to cry, because it is painful. And that's why I called it the painful truth in, the US. And her email is, if you want to take it down, it's LITKIM James. LITKIM James, JAMES @gmail.com. And anybody who's watching this can say that it's not bloody. It is suffocation. It's not okay. It's not a mockery. No. It should never look like, our disease should be classy and tasteful. Yes. And this is what we gave her. We gave her something beautiful. If I can do this, yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
We gave her something beautiful. And she gave
it's literally like, what's the
and she gave what am I doing here?
It's so bad it doesn't want to focus.
This camera? Wait, hold on, sweetie. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
This lens.
He's gonna make it sharper.
Try to put it in front of your face, maybe.
Okay, let me try putting it in front of my face. He's trying to guide me.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, there you go.
Straight in front of you. Push it straight out in front of you.
And now push it straight out in front of me. What do you mean straight out in front of me, babe?
Yes.
I don't know what you're doing. No, you're wrong. You're not looking on this side.
I'm looking.
Don't worry about it. He's trying to help it. It's not helping. Okay, see that? There you go. Yeah. It's literally a bloody mess.
It's like the Night of the Living Dead.
It's the Night of the Living Dead. It's awful. And this was this morning. I can't even post this. I can't even share this. But then I said, you know what? I can use this. I'm going to use this as a series to talk about that this is the problem in the United States of America, that they make mockery out of maternal mortality that has the disease has nothing to do with blood. It's suffocation. And when they put out my baby as a C-section, I'm actually wondering if this happened to you as well. When they put out your baby, did he look like that he was coming out of a spa? My baby had no blood, not even a drip.
I honestly,
that should be a sign.
I was half
fluid.
Conscious. I couldn't see any of it. I was in and out of consciousness. They couldn't regulate my blood pressure. So my experience was scary. But not bloody. Not in the least bit.
Not bloody.
But scary.
It's scary, not bloody, and it's not a horror flick. Women are not a horror flick.
Yeah.
In the 80s. Okay. So sorry that, talking about these conversations.
Yeah.
It's part of why there's something wrong here. Why this Kimberly, you can tell her that we featured her work and the words that she said. And
don't forget, it's 2 million clicks though.
Oh,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters. That now you can also let her know that 2 million people will hear how she has completely slaughtered a very sensitive, which
it's already hard enough too for us to go through this and have to continually educate people what this is and see the horror on their faces because they don't understand it, and then having to tell someone, the unfortunate side effect of this is going, well, we don't have an answer of how this can be fixed. I don't know what's going to happen in 3 months. I don't know how this happened. Could we have caught it earlier? Who knows?
Yes,
right?
100% with the BNP test and getting actually in Canada, OBGYNs are catching women during pregnancy as early as between 20 weeks
We
pregnant
do so
by
we do so much
doing
blood work when
EKG.
we're
No,
doing so much blood
EKG.
work during pregnancy. Why
Hmm.
not do a BNP? It's so simple.
So
It's
simple.
just blood. It's not dangerous during pregnancy. You know, as a geriatric pregnancy, I was 30 over the age of 35 when I was pregnant.
Hmm.
They had me do all sorts of like testing to make sure I was okay. Why not add this to the mix? Why not?
I mean, we're given so many tests. I mean, the glucose test, the blood
Yes.
test, all of these tests. I mean, it's like they even had me on a heart monitor. Oh, actually, they didn't check me. They checked the baby. They kept checking
Yeah.
the baby's head. They kept checking the baby's heart. Were they doing that with you a lot? They kept checking the baby, but not you?
Always the baby, never me.
Always the
Because
baby,
it's
never
odd,
me?
right? Because the when you think about an OB's responsibility, their responsibility is the care of the woman. But once you become pregnant, it's almost like you don't exist,
Right.
right? It's all about the health of the baby, how the baby's measuring, when is the baby going to come out? Everything's about the baby, and it's never
Yeah, but
about you. You're just the vessel at that point.
yeah, you're just a vessel, but the placentia growth factor
No.
is part of mommy and baby. So really it shouldn't be, it's like, you know, the care shouldn't just be one or the other. It's like kind of like, you know, we have a life inside of us and OBs are literally only focusing on the belly button down when this is a
Yes.
pregnancy induced complication with healthy women their entire lives because it's
Yeah.
induced. And so it becomes like a not a belly button down, but actually from the belly button up while you're
Right.
pregnant. So we are just a vessel, but you know what? We are separate, which is why we need a very
Right.
specific blood test that identifies mommy and identifies baby with the baby inside. And there are clear blood tests that are
Yes.
diagnosed in Canada. They have the SFLT1 and they have the PIGF, which is the toxic cardio fluid test mixed with the PIGF, the placental growth factor. And boom, they are able to identify this. We don't
So
have
why
that in
don't we have
America.
so why don't we have that here? Is it
Um,
not FDA approved? I don't understand.
it's not FDA approved. I have called, the last time I've called was on actually the passing of my mother because I believe my mother is no longer here due to this awful disease. She had walking pneumonia, got very, very sick, couldn't handle it, and she ended up getting an infection, latched on a heart valve, and she died 4 months after my heart surgery. So I I have been trying to figure out why is it that we don't have this test in gynecology. So I called the rep. Actually, Dr. James Fett
Hmm.
actually had many conversations with me about about this company. And it's called this company right here, if I can, it's called ELECYS. Okay. Let me see if I can see if I can screenshot it. Freaker. I hate that. It's like
There you go. A little bit better.
won't go anymore. I'll read it to you. So this company, okay, this company, it's called a diagnostic. If you go to diagnostic.roche, ROCHE.com,
Hmm.
it's for global products, pharmaceutical. It says SFLT1-1, PLGF, preeclampsia, which is the test that determines preeclampsia, which also is PPCM prevention. Now they're saying there's no prevention for preeclampsia, but there are treatments with diagnosis. This company says that it is available, the kit and the instrument is available in Canada, in the UK, in other parts of the countries, but it's not available in the United States of America. And this has been available for decades in other countries.
It makes me wonder why we don't have anybody lobbying for this, because there's no advantage.
You know, the thing is, what I discovered is that I used to think, well, they're not making it available, the diagnosis, because they'll lose trillions of dollars. But no, they're losing trillions of dollars by not diagnosing. Pharmaceuticals will make trillions of dollars more, because with diagnosis, we need medication, we need this, we need that. I mean, they're really not taking advantage of approximately billions and billions of dollars that could be servicing them. So I don't know why other countries have this that don't even make money off of it, because they don't even have healthcare pharmaceuticals, and they don't make money off of they don't make money off of their people like Americans, like we do with Americans. They it just doesn't happen there, but it happens here. And so they have the diagnosis, we don't. But we could, but we pay, they don't. But they could be making, pharmaceuticals could be making trillions and billions and more dollars.
Could we play devil's advocate? Could they say, well, our dollars are spent towards diseases that affect more people, right? Could they say that? But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm kind of arguing with myself here as the devil's advocate. It would, if you're truly in the market to better people's health and livelihood, this still affects a demographic of women. Like, we talk about how rare our illness is, but really, how rare is it? How many women go through pregnancy and even post-birth and they have our disease and they don't know?
1 out of 4 every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes is their statistic, but they can't give a good statistic because they don't have the diagnosis. Right. And if you don't have diagnosis, then you can't give a statistics unless you go by what you know. But what about what we don't know? And what we don't know, I have it right there on the Post-it. What we don't know can kill us. Yes. Not knowing the NT-proBNP test, not knowing the EKG, not knowing that our hearts are enlarged and weakened from the fluid in the blood suffocating us until death. I mean, like, really? And it's all preventable as early as 10 weeks pregnant with a magnesium drip or a beta blocker or whatever it is that woman's symptoms are going through that needs prevention. Yeah. I'm actually today on fire. Like, this is why I started. This woman, Kimberlite James at US Times, put a firecracker up me even more, because what I do is that I cope and my anger and my fear, because I have all the same fears you have. I have all of them. Every day I struggle with them, and every day is a blessing. But and very few people actually, I have thick skin. I've been working in Hollywood on top TV shows. I mean, I've had, I've worked with producers that throw chairs if there's, pickles or something in their tuna fish, or, I'm saying, like, I won't say who it was, but I mean, I have been working with directors and producers in top, TV shows. And I have never in my life have been seen so many women be so disrespected with not wanting to participate, to support, to want to make this movement, succeed and be successful. And it's frightening. And I have all these fears that you have, and it's frightening. But I have thick skin and I have coping skills. And the way I'm coping with this is by doing this podcast, by doing the docuseries, because most people have authority to say and do what they want, like this Kimberlite at US Times. She's like, no, your fears are not valid, so therefore I am not going to change this vampire horror flick because it's got over 2 million views when it's only got 200 views. And I'm sitting there like, I can't even believe this woman is actually saying this. I can understand if it was a man. And I even said, Kyle, who's that did the image. I said, I can understand you, Kyle, because you're a man. I can understand.
Yeah.
You took so much time to change a beautiful image so you can make your point. But you didn't even research about the disease, because if you were, you would know that it has nothing to do with blood. I mean, you have an oxygen thing in your nose. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
This is not bloody. I mean, it's like,
no.
And so this docuseries is also for me to show proof that women, we are demanding respect and demanding
Absolutely.
the NT-proBNP test as early as 10 weeks pregnant for it to be mandatory, so women don't feel fearful of asking for the test, or fearful if they have a threat that they don't want to know about the test. And it needs to be mandatory.
Are you kidding me? We can pay, $200, $300 and get a genetic test done to understand the sex of our baby within the first, within the first trimester, correct?
Yeah.
Well, what is that test? That's optional, and it's readily available to us. But the labs make so much money on it, right? Because they go, okay, you really want to know the gender of your baby now? We'll do a blood test. And so they make money on it. Versus, let's do something that's going to be beneficial for the health of the mother and child in the future. Not necessarily the child, but you know what I mean? Like, obviously,
no, absolutely.
a child with a mother around is healthier.
I have even just yesterday, from this disease, her baby was 1 year old and died after. I mean, it was premature. I know it was premature.
Like, don't make me cry.
It was premature, and it's sad, and I love her dearly. And then another one, she lost, 3 babies inside of her. She was one with twins and one, and it's sad because the placenta growth factor is mommy and baby. And there are a lot of tests out there that can determine this, and I actually have a list of the tests, and I actually sent it to one of the women. Specifically, it was from Dr. James Fett. It was a new study that came out, and I just think that it's just so careless for women, gynecology women, midwives, doulas, birth keepers, birth workers, to not want to be informed. The unwillingness to be informed is scary.
It's sad to me too, because it's, I'm sure with you, once you were diagnosed, you probably, like me, dived into this and said, okay, well, I need to digest all the information that's available to me so I can understand what this is, because it is, you are fearful. You don't understand it. You weren't educated about it before. Like I said, it wasn't in like the what to expect when you're expecting books. And every day I feel like I'm learning something more and more. And to me, that's sad, because we are in the generation in the century of information, right? Just like we said, the internet. I mean, look, you and I are sitting in 2 parts in the United States right now, and we're able to connect and discuss this disease and why this information isn't readily available or wanting to be digested by the community of OBs or to really protect the women that they're serving is beyond me, right? And every day I try to research a little bit more. Every time I get new blood work done, I had an echo this morning, and it's nerve-wracking. you don't know what to expect. And then once you get new results, you go, okay, well, what does this mean for me? What are my options now? And there's never a clear answer because so apparently in this industry, there is no clear answer. And that's
Yeah.
what's scary.
And nobody advocates also with this, that comes with this is the depression,
Yeah.
and because of the fears. And if it's not, there needs to be a lot of awareness. And I say this, almost in every interview, because I'm a huge advocate for mental health. It's my
Yes.
background. I got my master's in social work. So it'd be, I have the tools, but I feel bad when, you know, this disease is part of postpartum depression. And you can't, I don't think, whether even somebody like is wanting to, because we have to be strong, we have to move forward, we have to, we're women, we're the moms, we're the rock, we're the everything.
Right.
So we push it down and down, 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 down until we go into the bathroom, shut the door, and we cry, or you know,
Yes.
I mean, and that it took me about 2 or 3 years to realize I can't do this with myself. I need medication, and it's been a full year, and I feel so much better. Like, so much better. I mean, like, it has really, this disease has taken a toll on, you mentally. And I am definitely like a Zen, yoga. I work out, like I'm very much, mind, body, soul, spirit, and I'm very spiritual. And I believe in self-healing. I believe that the mind can heal the heart. I can also believe that the mind can also cause anxiety. So if the mind's not okay, then the heart might not be okay. So you have to
Yeah.
make sure that the mind is really, there needs to be awareness on, this lack of advocacy that is really needed, just not just physical with this disease, but just as balanced as mental. And
Yeah.
and
I actually just started medication because
wonderful.
I didn't know. And it's relieving to hear from you that, you've been on it for a year now and you're seeing some relief, because I've been on it for about 2 months and I'm going, at what point am I going to stop feeling bad for myself?
Well, the thing is that with this medication, and I don't know what you're on. I'm on Zoloft, but I don't know what.
Me too.
Okay, so with Zoloft, what it is I would do, I I would break it. I would take like maybe even, um, I started out with like 5 milligrams for a week, and then 10 milligrams for the next week. And then I slowly would build, 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 and just a little bit. And then I'd stay on like 25 milligrams for like a month and a half. And then I'd go up to like 35 milligrams, and I'd stay on that for like, another month. And then I go up. Now it took me a full year to get on 100 milligrams. And
Yeah.
I'm now stable. Now it's conditioned. It's, the right medication, the non-addictive medication, the quick fix
Yeah.
medication conditions the fluid in the brain, the dopamine and the serotonin, that from that trauma that was literally rattled, and it's like all over the place, and it's chemical. So there's nothing that you can do. You can sit there and zen your way and it will never go better. And so the thing is with medication, that it took you this long. Let's say after a year, it took me this long to like, to not cry every day and miss my mom, and to not feel, it was affecting the people around me,
Did you
because I was
did
I
you
was
see
so
a
sad.
psychiatrist as well?
No, I saw a psychologist. I didn't need a psychiatrist. I don't need to talk about it with somebody that doesn't know. I like to talk about it with people that do know, because I want information. I
Yeah.
specifically knew that I needed trazodone at night to sleep so I can, stop having the night terrors. And I specifically knew that the trazodone was going to help me until the Zoloft would finally kick in. And I knew that the Zoloft, as a social worker, I was a triage specialist. I used to monitor people on medication, and then and how it would work. And the ones that would go off of it after a year, because they would feel freaking fantastic, they go
Yeah.
off of it, And then they spiral down. I said, well, why'd you go off of it? It's you're doing well because
Yeah.
it's working. And it's okay to be on this medication for your entire life. That's why you want to start at a low dosage, so you can either go up or go down. You don't want to start $100 straight out from the bat. You'll lose your mind. First of
Yeah.
all, this medication is very strong. So a little bit, you have to condition and moisten the area that's dry and strengthen the one that needs a little bit, give light to the one in the area that's dark. And this doesn't happen. This is not a happy pill. It's not a magic pill. It takes time, and you have to work with it, and it does work. I'm a completely different person now. It's like, I'm like, all right, let's get this started. It took me 5 years, and I took baby steps, and I was very kind to myself. And I am kind to myself around, heart anniversaries, around the time that you've given birth or that I've given birth, because muscle has memory. Our heart is a big muscle. Relapse is associated with common memory. And when you have relapsed or you felt something that was wrong, your body might have memory at that time. So I've noticed that relapse happens usually around either the time the woman is that she's given birth at that time when she was started PPCM, or at the time that she coded or had the complication, because our bodies relapses due to memory.
That's crazy that you say that. And I say that because my last echo before the one today was in November. I gave birth in November, and my ejection fraction actually reduced by 15% from June to November. And it was a huge blow, and we didn't understand why or why it would go down 15%. Nothing had changed. And it's funny that you say that. Yeah. I never even thought about that. Again, you learn something every day.
Well, this is why we're having this conversation. My last heart anniversary, I bought me this beautiful crystal,
Amethyst?
It's an amethyst. It's for
Beautiful.
tranquility. I mean, I have my crystals. I love my crystals. But this one, it just gravitated to me. And anything that's like healing, especially around the time that could possibly my body remember relapse, and so I'm like, okay, what can I do for myself this heart anniversary? Or when my son, August 18th was his birthday, around that time I try to be very, very good to myself. I try to be I'm going to keep this close on me, actually. I try to be good to myself because I want to like tell myself that, you don't have to go there again. We already been there, done that. Let's try to like keep the peace.
Yes.
And it is awareness, all of this disease is awareness, and you evolve. You evolve. And
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you will. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about this when we're in our like 70s or 80s, and we'll be like, remember when we did this docuseries together and you went off on this US US Times Kimberlit.
It's okay. It's important. It's important. All of it's important because again, the reason why we had this conversation is raising awareness. And when people aren't respecting what we're going through, it's diminishing what we're trying to do here.
That's how I felt this morning.
Yeah.
I felt
right.
like
you're absolutely right.
This was one of my first press was on Valentine's Day 2020 on the Today Show. And that was a really big post, and that was a great post and everything. Although the person who put it in their hands, they made me look bad because they changed something very important. The BNP test, the number is anything, any number below 99 NT-pro is any number below 300. And they changed my words and said that if you don't have a BNP test of 25, then your life is at a threat, which is not true, which I don't understand why they did that. So other than that, the post on the Today Show was good, except for the actual real information.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh my God, I can't win with these people. But I really do appreciate when a press or somebody really respects this disease. Parent Magazine, disappointing right now because I've contacted them many times and they turned down the disease. They turned down my story. They said it's not joyful.
But what part of parenthood, I mean, trust me, parenthood is joyful, right? But there's lots of parenthood, let's be honest, that's not joyful. And this is unfortunately one of the least joyful parts that women go through.
Absolutely, but it also can save a life. So I was
Yes.
sitting there trying my hardest to talk to this editor man at Parent Magazine and trying to get him to see what's right and what's wrong here. And it just was not, the people that are in this media authority and on behalf of this disease, hopefully will, respect women globally, but definitely in the United States of America, because we're most challenged than most countries, unfortunately. And we're one of the richest countries in the world. So there's really no excuse except for lack of respect.
I agree with you 100%. And it's hard to I asked you if you're going to if you had seen a psychiatrist, because for me, I realized that I needed help because I've never been a sad person. I've always been very optimistic in life. And this has just turned my world upside down. And I started seeing a psychiatrist. And it's hard because, again, lack of information, lack of education on what it is that you're going through. And I thought to myself, okay, if I see a psychiatrist that's a part of my health system that was recommended to me by my cardiologist, that this will be a person that I can speak to that will understand what I'm going through. He has no clue.
No.
He has no clue.
No.
I'm
Talk
sitting
to
there
me.
and I'm educating him. Yeah. I know. I'm sitting there. I'm educating
Call
him.
me.
And he's like, he's like, that must be really tough. And I'm like, yes, anybody can tell me that's really tough, but I need, and I'm sure you went through it too, or are still going through it. It's the unknown. That's the part that's scary.
Yes.
It's the
absolutely.
How long will I be on medication? How long am I going to be on oxygen? Am I ever going to need a heart transplant? Am I just going to walk around one day holding my son?
Well, don't worry about the medication thing. We're blessed with modern, don't worry about that. If you need it, great. It's like a person with diabetes, it's taking their insulin, medication is part of this. Don't even, that's helpful. It's not like you're taking, drugs, you're shoving things down your body that is not healthy for you. There is good medication, and then there's the toxic medication. I'm very very unhappy with a lot of mental health providers that are providing addictive medication to young girls with this disease as early as 20 years old. And I say to them, no, you're on an addictive medication. You need to be on a non-addictive medication. This way you can feel good and have energy and not feel you're going to go on a downward spiral. And, they're putting these young women on wrong medications. Like I said, if it's the right medication and, there's that test that can show that the DNA test that can say, okay, this medication will work best for you. That medication is not good for you. So you might as well go off of it and try this. And this might be better. There are tests that determine that. And I don't know why doctors are putting young women with this disease on addictive medication. And medication is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, only if you're on the right one. So,
Right.
I mean, I have, friends that are, I have a girlfriend and, I love her dearly, but, she's an alcoholic and she needs depression medication terribly for years now, but she can't go on it because she's an alcoholic. So you can't, so it's like, I wish she can go on medication and just stay on it because it would really serve her and she would be happy and she would probably,
And it would probably subside the alcoholism.
yeah, we don't live in the 1400s where we have to
Right.
suffer. We don't
Yes.
need to suffer mentally. We have a brilliant medication that keeps you focused, keeps your brain hydrated, keeps your mind sharp, and it should be definitely also taken into consideration that when your body and your body's telling you something, that there's something wrong, and you can, whether it's your heart or your mind that's saying ouch or I'm having a hard time, that's
Just the term saying ouch is very funny.
yeah. Hello, ow, I'm dying. It's important because only we know our bodies.
Yeah.
Like I could put my makeup on and put a smile on my face and no one would ever know what I'm feeling, so only we know what our bodies are going through. And
But isn't that the point of this disease too? Like, we were to stick all of us in a room, all of these women that and I know with this disease, and we were to stick us in the room and say, what's wrong with these women? No one would know. Just like you said, it's not a bloody disease, right? So you can't see it outwardly. It's an internal struggle that we're having, both mentally and physically. And it's really tough for people to understand that,
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. I remember I have a handicap parking plate on my car.
I do too. I do too. And I hate using it because
I use it all. Oh, I love it. Are you kidding?
Well, now
now
I do. I'm on oxygen, so now
I went to Disneyland and I'm like, I'm parking here. I go here. I'm VIP. Okay, I had heart failure. I'm VIP. But I remember I got yelled at by a person because and here I was still bloody and I still had my, I don't know if you could see my scar, and I was like really, really bad. And but that day I woke up that morning and I'm like, I want to feel beautiful. I want to do my hair. I want to do my makeup, and here I'm trying to feel good about myself. I go to the grocery store to park my car in the handicap spot, even though I was like, ow. And I got railed by this woman and this man, and they were like in their 50s or 60s or something. You're not sick, there's nothing wrong with you, blah blah blah. I said, are you kidding me? I said, I just came back from cardiac death after giving birth to my son. Screw you. Fuck you. Who cares? Mind your business. Mind your business.
I had the same thing happen to me. I went to Disney World because I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
And we were staying at a hotel, and I actually physically had oxygen. So it wasn't like you couldn't tell that there was something on my face. And my husband and I got out of the car and a lady said, that's a handicap spot. I said, I'm aware. I'm fully aware. She's like, well, do you need it? I was like, yes, I do. And my husband is a loud Bostonian. And I had to give him the look like, please don't say anything. We do not need to get in a fight. We're in the happiest place on earth,
right. The happy place.
Don't say anything. Yes. Mm-hmm. And she was probably in her 50s, and she had a gentleman in the car. I'm going to assume it's her husband. And they had a handicap plate, right? And I wanted to say to them, do you want to trade who's worse off? Do you want to see who's worse and who needs the spot?
Exactly. Yeah. Do you want to talk on who is more? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, no. And it took me a long time to actually use my handicap pass because I felt my mom's handicapped. She's had a knee replacement since I can remember. And so she has a hard time walking. And so when I think handicap, I think physically, not that this isn't a physical ailment or physical disability, but I truly just think like people who are wheelchairs can't walk, all of these things. And so when they first provided it to me, I was like, I don't need this. Like, I'm a healthy person because I've been healthy my whole life. And then when I realized I was walking across the parking lot of really hot Florida summer, I was like, oh, I can't breathe walking across this parking lot. Like, I really do need a park and handicap, is when I realized I should probably use that.
Yeah. You just your story just reminded me of when I went to a judge in downtown Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
and it was for Social Security because
Oh, goodness.
it was a big deal, and they denied me because the judge, when he saw me, and he said, you look perfectly healthy. He said, I am dismissing this case as you, and so, and at the time I couldn't really articulate, and it was he was speaking from just like a man point of view, but when I said to him, I said, you can't see my heart, but I had cardiac death, and I have a baby, and I have, I have all of, but and I said, and you're judging me by my face. You're judging
Yeah.
me that I don't need it because I'm not and in a wheelchair. And then I remember he said it would be one thing, and this was something he was trying to make a comparison. And I don't sue, and I would never sue, but he was trying to give like an example to me. And he said, and he said it would be one thing if they chopped the wrong arm off or the wrong leg off.
Oh, gosh.
And I said to him, well, how about my cardiologist saying that the person in the wheelchair has a better chance of rolling out of the grocery store than me walking out because my handicap is in my heart, not in my legs. And I said
you can live without a leg. You can't live without a heart.
Right. That's why I said say that to my cardiologist, where she says, that person that's handicapped, that's in a wheelchair, has a better chance of rolling out than you walking out, because your heart is like this 1 minute, your heart's that, and that next minute is what he said to me. I couldn't believe it. The law, the system is fucked.
Yeah.
And to say that to me after I just came back from cardiac death in a hyperthermia coma, and like basically came back from the dead, which is a miracle and impossible, but it happened. And I have a letter from my cardiologist at Geffen Medical at UCLA, who is one of the top cardiologists in award-winning doctor, stating right here that my life is shortened and that I experienced cardiac death, and that I'm severely I'm severely handicapped was the word. And he said, the judge in Los Angeles said that from the looks of you, as I'm looking at you, this documentation is not valid.
Do you ever feel like, for me, I don't know if it's something that I struggle with myself, but do you ever feel like sometimes when you're telling someone who is uneducated about this disease or doesn't know what you're going through particularly, that they have the sense that you're being over dramatic?
Oh,
Because
not only that, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Nicole from Mama's Voice, with Progressive Group or ACOG or whatnot. Nicole, do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
On Mama's Voice or MoMA's Voice.
No, I don't know who it is.
It was at a group in Mom's Congress in Washington, D.C. I went there to get a bill passed through for postpartum depression. She took a bunch of women into a room, and said, sorry, that's my puppy.
It's okay.
Golden retriever. Sounds like a big dog, but it's not. It's a puppy. And she took a bunch of women into the room. One of my partner is actually, she's now a partner of mine in the PPCM fund. But she was one of the women. I saved her life because she did in fact have PPCM. But she took 10 women out of Mom's Congress in a big group, pulled them aside in another room, and said that I was dramatic because I talked about that my situation was traumatic and that I really didn't have death. Well, unfortunately, my husband, while he's giving me CPR and put me on the floor while the baby's in bed with me and I'm having a stroke, was videoed, unfortunately, my death. And I have that. And I sent it to her. And I said, dramatic? I said, women are dying. I said, why would you take a bunch of women into a room and talk about me and say that my situation and what I went through and how embarrassing, like she embarrassed me. And then you have the head of Mom's Congress going like this as I'm talking, saying peripartum cardiomyopathy has a prevention and that women who have peripartum cardiomyopathy experience a very deep postpartum depression. And I'm here today to make sure that this bill goes through. And why? And my situation. And I took the microphone from Christy Turlington Burns, who is Every Mom Counts. Well, not every mom counts, and not every mama has a voice like their nonprofits, because they wanted me to shut up. They wanted me to, the head was telling me stop because I wasn't on the list, and somehow I got the microphone because the person that was supposed to get handed the microphone was standing right behind me, ironically. And but I took the microphone. And then when I was with the senators, they said I hijacked the meeting. I said, how is getting your bill? It's not even a bill for PPCM. How is my situation and my PPCM experience and my postpartum depression affecting this bill to not go through? If anything, it seals the stamp. And it did, because Andrew at the Adam Schiff's office, they even said Colleen, the woman that is Adam Schiff, they even said this is very important, and they supported it, which is why the bill passed. And it's a success. But I was called dramatic. I was made to feel like I shouldn't have been there. And same with Deanna Stewart with Save the Mommies. We felt like, should we even be here? I don't think we should. We're being made very uncomfortable. Like, we felt uncomfortable.
But isn't the end goal the same regardless? It's about getting women the right type of healthcare that they need. Right?
Absolutely.
End of the story. Like, so why wouldn't all of this matter? Just because it doesn't come from a specific person that they're looking for.
I have no idea. And the thing is that I'm such a forgiving person, and I'm a very understanding person. And so when I went back to Nicole and from Mama's Voice, and I said, this was very insulting to me. I'm sending you my death video and everything. She still never apologized because she's not sorry. And then she continued. So, I said, okay, well, I will be talking about this someday. And I am with you today.
Today.
You're getting the full Lindsay.
Here's the anecdote.
Mm-hmm. No, it's real talk. It's the painful truth. And I really feel like that, women that are struggling, and if you ever feel like, I need somebody to talk to, I'm having a really hard time today, and I'm having all these fears, then just, text me, call me. And, I get it. And I understand I understand the cycle, and being as evolved as I am, hopefully I will keep evolving. I'll keep growing with this, and I'll keep, I'll keep learning, new tools to apply within our level of care that we need,
Yes.
emotionally, physically, as well as just trying to understand this disease a lot better. I think
Yeah.
that, it takes a lot of understanding and
Yes.
compassion.
Yes.
And
100%.
and we
100%.
can't find that from somebody who hasn't had that.
Yeah.
It's like our own AA. I can't walk into an AA and say, "Hey, I know what it's like, to OD." No, but I can walk into a room of women who have died of after giving childbirth, or a family that suffer from a loss or something like that, because I can I can relate to that. I can stand up and
Yeah.
say, "Hi, my name is Lindsay, and I am a PPCM survivor, and I survived maternal mortality." And anybody who can relate with that is it's important, because there's no relation in the medical community. There's no
No.
relation with your friends. There's no relation. Nobody can understand except for another heart sister.
Yep. Yep. That's why we call ourselves sisters.
That's why we do. Yep, we are definitely heart sisters. We're not blood sisters like that. What,
No.
like Kim?
Chris,
What's her name? Kimberlite.
hold on. Kimberlite. Yes. I was like, I have it written
Kimberlite
down here.
James at
Kimberlite.
U.S. Times. Right. It's not
Yeah, it's
bloody.
not bloody Kimberlite.
I love
We'll
you.
just make a hashtag.
Yeah, exactly. We will. I think we should. And feel free to contact her today to say that we featured her today, and to thanks for the proof of lack of media respect of from her company. So yeah, and I really, I enjoyed talking with you today, and
Yeah, me too.
I
I didn't know
have,
what to expect, so I'm glad that we did this.
yeah, I never know what to expect. I never even know what I'm going to say.
Well,
Every
hey,
day's
you know,
different.
we covered every basis today.
I think we did. We did. And I love you for that, because it really helped me as well. I mean, you're talking about this is so, it's like justice.
Yes, 100%. It is.
We're women.
It's
We need to
validation.
talk. Yeah.
Well, it's validation, it's understanding. And those are the two major things that we need with this disease. We need validation that it's real, and we need understanding of what we're going through.
Exactly. We want to be heard.
Yep.
And yeah, Kimberlite, like, literally slaughtered. Slaughtered it.
She has no idea who she made angry today. Are you
No.
Italian, Lindsay?
No, I'm Jewish, but I am from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And so I was born and raised like Philadelphia, Jersey Shore. I'm not Jersey Shore because I'm more Philly, South Philly, but I've only
regardless
ever back in the day.
Kimberlite doesn't know, what a Philly/Jersey girl is going to do to her.
Exactly. Oh yeah. You can take the girl out of Jersey, but you can't take the Jersey out of the girl. And I'm telling you today, with me emailing her today, I was like, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. How am I going to say this with
fact,
with real information for her to understand that this is not about money. This is not about views. This is about women respect, and you are literally kicking it in every, kicking it.
She doesn't understand it's the life that you live. That's where the disrespect comes from, is that this isn't just clickbait for you. It's literally the story of your life and death and life again for you.
Yeah.
And for us, it's the life we live day in and day out. It's not to be made fun of.
Yeah. So when she said her choice of words, and I'm going to actually screenshot it and text it to you. Her choice of words were, your fear is not valid. Kimberly Light James at U.S. Times. Sit and fucking rotate.
I did not mean to
Literally.
stir the pot some more before we ended this. I'm like, let me just rekindle that fire for you.
Yeah, let's just bring it up one or two more times, just in case you didn't hear it. The viewers didn't hear it the first or second time. The 2 million views that are going to be watching this.
Oh my goodness.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed
No, I
talking with
appreciate
you
it.
today, and
Yeah, it was good
you're
talking to you too.
you have just beautiful energy, and I really feel like I know you, and you know me, so
Thank you.
don't feel like you can't text me, call me, message me, or
I will.
whatnot, because I'm just a click
Yeah.
away.
And I really appreciate you doing everything that you are to bring awareness to this disease, because it needs to be done, and there aren't a lot of women that have the time or energy or the gusto to do so. And I think you're just the right person. So thank you for
Oh,
doing all this.
well, thank you. I appreciate the support. It's
Yeah.
it's a lonely road, but I'm willing
Yeah.
and
Well, we're here to support you.
to do this and take it where it needs to go. And I did. I gave up I have a locations company. I've turned down many TV series and shows that are very, very good. And I work with the best. I do very good at what I do. I'm hired literally by the same producers and location managers over and over on every top TV show for the last 18 years
Yeah.
because I enjoy what I do. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love what I do for the industry, and I love working behind the scenes, but this takes sonority. And so
Precedent, yeah.
my producers and location managers and people that I've worked with in Hollywood, they know what I've been through, and they say, Lindsay, take all the time you need. This is what I need. And they still bring me projects, which is great. That helps me pay for a woman that needs a copay, or give money
Yeah.
to the IPAC research lab study team, or just help a woman that is needs a pacemaker and she's being turned away because she can't pay her copay. I mean, it happens every day. I mean, the amount of bills that I get from these survivors, it's a lot. The copays, it adds up, and I'm one woman. But at the same time, I think that a little bit, little here and there, when it comes back and says, "Oh my gosh, you saved my life. I would have been dead if it wasn't for you, because I ended up needing this and this and that, and they weren't going to take me." And I mean, it's all I can do, because nobody else is not really able to do that. And not that I'm either, but at the same time, I feel like now that my mental health is on track, and now that it's stable, whereas before I couldn't do it. I built the nonprofit and I worked behind the scenes, but now it's
maybe
the time.
this is the plan. Maybe this was meant to be your path.
This is my journey.
And you just let us know however we can support you.
Yeah. No, I would even say Facebook birthdays, when there's a birthday and someone just spreads the awareness, and it's not even about the money. It's about just choosing PPCM Fund as the nonprofit for a birthday. Yeah. Twice that has helped me with another woman. One of them is, Kelsey Cruz. She's 18 years old. She got an LVD, a new heart. She was struggling.
18.
And,
she hasn't even lived her life yet.
20 years old. She has 20 years old. She has a new heart. And, she was preserved in I think water tank. I was preserved frozen. So the what? Formaldehyde. Yeah. Formaldehyde solution.
Oh,
and so she couldn't even wash her hands, or she could drown to death. And, and she was 20, COVID, hit, this happened all right when COVID hit. And so she was alone and scared and all of that. And it was at the time, my father just passed. It was 18 months after my mom passed away. They died of a broken heart. They were in love since they were teenagers, so it's good that they're together. But it was I was paralyzed when my mom died, and I just couldn't. I just was blowing off everything. Anybody, I didn't even care. Like, I was just like, I'm going back to bed. I'm sleeping,
Yeah.
don't bother me. And it was really, it was like to the point where I was just like, this is, this is like really affecting me to the point where I'm just don't even want to be bothered. But then
Yep.
like, but the birthday, the birthday not donation, this one
Hmm.
girl got, I think it was like she raised like $500, and it helped Kelsey because she's 3 hours away from the hospital and she relapsed, and she was able to take that money. I gave it to her immediately, and she took that money and she was able to go to Atlanta because she lives in Georgia. She was able to go there, and they were able to treat her. And then she did a video on my YouTube. If you go to YouTube, at the hospital, thanking me because and then I raised like approximately like $2,000 for her while she was at the hospital. And
Yeah.
this was all from birthday donations. This wasn't from me personally. And me personally, I do take on TV shows. I take those commissions, and I put them into the nonprofit. But at that time, I was not well. And then I had young girls coming to me not well. So those birthday donations really can come and be life-saving. Even if it doesn't even make any, even if it makes $1 or $2, even though it doesn't. The fact that somebody
Anything.
chose it, awareness is priceless.
Yes. 100%.
And these girls are struggling. I mean, all women are struggling with this, but when you're a child yourself that just gave birth at 18, I mean, you're a child.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's like, and I feel like I can't do enough for this girl, but, because she's going to need a lot of support and financially, and she doesn't have it. And so when it comes to like medical and, it's really a shame. I think about her a lot, and I feel for her.
Yeah.
But she's just one of, a few thousand in the United States of America, that are going through this. So you can't, I'm one woman. So it's one of these things
But
where
you have a big fan base in all of us. We're here to support you.
Hopefully. I support all the other nonprofits. I support everybody. I have no, this is something that all hands on deck.
Yes. 100. Yep. I agree.
So,
All right,
all
girl.
right. Well,
I got to go pick up my little one.
I was going to say, we could probably chat for hours, but,
yes, we can.
I think we were at an hour and 35 minutes, which has been my longest interview.
Oh my gosh. It's because I can talk, and so that doesn't help.
Well, me too. And then the two of us, we just have so many, we had so many topics today, but
Yes.
it really helped me as well. And I hope that this helped you in the same respect.
No, I appreciate it. And like I said, just let me know anything that I can do outside of the birthday fund, which my birthday is coming up in March. So I will make sure that I do that on, Facebook.
Yeah,
But
just spread the
just let me know.
awareness on maybe the group site, on peripartum cardiomyopathy group site. Listen, you got a birthday, or not on the group site, because I don't ever ask survivors. I give to survivors.
Yeah.
It's the people who don't. I want to target the people who don't know about this disease that can post it. That's when I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like light at the end of the forest. There's, it's like literally, when there's a person, I don't know you, you're not my friend on Facebook. I don't know how I know you, not even on Instagram, but you chose my nonprofit and got money, but I don't even know who you are. I mean, how did you find me?
That's when you know you've made it.
That's when you know that you're doing something right, Yes. And so I with that, I take that little appreciation, and I just, hopefully, hopefully it expands into something great. And I'm willing to take off, as much time. Meanwhile, my interviews are booked until, April, I think now. I have about 4 interviews a day. But you know what? I'm willing to take off the time, as much time, and get these recorded, this docuseries and the podcast going until there is change. So.
Yep. All right, girl.
Thank you.
Well,
I'll talk to you
I
soon.
will see you around. Yes.
All right.
I will talk
All
to you
my
soon.
love.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us and listening to the PPCM Fund podcast. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. PPCM's Painful Truth is made possible through the generous support of donors like you. Help us spread the awareness by donating at ppcmfund.com or click the link below to become a member through Ko-fi. Have a great day.